everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Crickellectuals. I'm your host, Rufan, along with Jay. Jay, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. All is well. Just been trying to keep up with all this PSL madness. But otherwise, around here in New York, weather's back and forth between cold and warm. Today was a really nice and warm day, and we had a good time. A lot of sun today. What about you? How are things over there down in Texas?
Good, man. More of the same. Told you the bipolar weather of Texas. We woke up with 67 degrees. Within 2 hours, it was down to 32. Real feel 22. So it's a battle of should we send kids out with a jacket or with a t-shirt every day. So we packed both. So what's on the agenda today?
Yeah, like I said, PSL's been, going on full force. Lots of games happening. And then we have that news announcement about Shahid Afridi. And finally, we also have some very important news about Pakistan coaches.
All right. So let's begin with I want to talk to you about the transition from Karachi to Lahore. We predicted or we talked about that the scores are not going to be as high in Lahore versus Karachi because Karachi is batting pitches. But boy, were we wrong. Looking at the total scores each match, we've reached 200 4 or 5 times and been chased twice by Quetta, who are coming up the charts. I know it's they're not in the. They are there, man. They're battling with Islamabadunited, so they can very well make it to the playoffs. So a couple of things I noticed with moving to Lahore first. They've done a good job. Stadium-wise, the maintenance-wise, it looks much cleaner. Grass is much greener, and 2 years ago that wasn't the case. Visibly, you could see garbage right outside the boundary line. It was not cleaned up like somebody just called them and said, oh, we're going to play a match here tomorrow, and they didn't have enough time to clean up. It was very poor maintenance a few years back. So that was good to see. I think there's still some work to be done, but there were some good touches. And on 4K HD video feed, it looked amazing. I mean, just as good as Karachi. Another thing was a pitch. Pitch is definitely different. It's definitely favoring batsmen more than bowlers, which is not likely of Lahore pitch. Usually it favors both sides and mostly bowlers. But this time, man, these batsmen, they're scoring some high scores in Lahore pitch, which is something we're not used to.
Yeah, I thought it was an interestingly balanced kind of a pitch. One thing is for sure, it looked like that in bowling, fast bowlers have a better opportunity here than spinners. But then Usman Qadir had a pretty good day the other day. He had like 3 wickets in one of his spells, and that was really, really good to see. But that was also when the ball got older. So I think with the new ball, there's not a lot in it for spinners. So we've seen that every time a spinner started in Lahore, they got beat up pretty bad. And in today's game, for example, between United and Zalmi, I expected Zalmi to come out hard because they really had to win. Islamabad United could still have afforded to lose this game, but Zalmi couldn't. So Zalmi was coming in hard, but Islamabad United, actually Zalmi themselves, they tried to use their leg spinners in the first 2 overs, and Islamabad United almost stole the game in the first 2 overs from them. And then they had such a good start that if they were chasing and their run rate was higher than Zalmi all through the 15th over. It's in the last 5 overs that Zalmi came back into the game. So Babar Azam made a huge mistake of bringing in his 2 leg spinners, including Qadir, to start, because this is not a pitch where you start with a leg spinner or just any spinner in general in the first couple overs, because you're not going to get much. So that's the notable difference. But afterwards, as the ball gets older, things get better for the spinners during the second half of the game. Pacers, on the other hand, have a better time to start with. I mean, we saw Shahid Afridi pulling off the same thing against Quettagladiators. It reminded me of the Pakistan-India T20 World Cup game. Shahid Afridi comes in, takes 2 wickets in the first over, and just, throws the whole game off for Quettagladiators, whom I was hoping would win. I have been supporting Quettagladiators, but I was so shocked and upset that Shaheen friggin' came and did the same thing. So things like that didn't happen as quickly for the fast bowlers in Karachi, but they did for fast bowlers here. So I think the secret, not really a secret anymore, but it turns out that whoever's got better pacers is able to do a little bit better here. And if you want to put breaks to the opposition or their run rate, you want to bring in a pacer in most cases, unless you have like quality attacking spin options like a good leg spinner. So that's one of the things I've noticed. The other thing I've noticed is well, this is like a PSL theme in general, but I've noticed it more in Lahore, and that's the number of dropped catches. I think it would be interesting in looking up the actual stats of dropped catches. I think those are harder stats to kind of find, but I've just noticed that there's like every match at least 3 to 4 catches being dropped, and both from it's not even a Pakistani versus like international visiting players. It's all players dropping catches and misfields are everywhere. So that hasn't changed in Lahore. But I noticed it more in Lahore because I heard some players complain about it. I think I sent you a clip earlier with Hassan Ali in it and I think Ben Duckett or something. But he was complaining about, not being able to see in the fog in Lahore. And Lahore has this infamous fog, it's really smog. It's pollution related as well as weather related, and it's worse in the winter, especially in the morning games. It stays for a long time during the day, and it doesn't go away that easily, and it's very hard to see. So that's another challenge that teams have in Lahore that I don't think they had in Karachi, which is kind of interesting in a way, but also sad in a way because I already saw that coming. Like I think I jokingly sent you a picture about Lahore because I saw a video clip of these analysts talking from Gaddafi Stadium, and like they don't need the bokeh effect because it's hazy behind them anyway. You know what I mean? It's like they had a natural bokeh effect because there's just so much fog behind them. So that's not great. Doesn't look great. Doesn't feel great. But adds an interesting challenge to the game of cricket.
Yeah, that clip you sent me was pretty crazy. They showed another angle of, I think it was Ben Cutting trying to take a catch.
That's
and
right.
he went over, had to step back and come back in. And that angle, you couldn't see the ball through the camera either. Forget the player trying to catch it underneath. It was pretty bad. And sometimes I think it's the placement of floodlights too, because Lahore, Pakistani players at least, drop a lot of catches there for whatever reason. So I guess if it has to do with some dynamics and they have to re-angle the lights because of the fog, maybe you can realign the beams, which is hard, obviously. They're permanent fixtures, but there's definitely a lot of drop catches, 1 or 2 every single match. Your point about spinners, I agree with that. I think Lahore uses 2 or 3 pitches, and one has the skid and spin. And I think for spinner in T20, where everybody's trying to hit you, you have to deceive them. So it's got to be less spin sometimes when you're trying to throw a googly or leg break or whatever, and it doesn't do that, and it turns into a faster ball. That's when you get wickets. And that's not very common. It really has to do with the quality of the pitch, how many matches you've played on it, and how you've taken care of it. So, yeah, pacers all the way, man. In T20 cricket, you just got to beat the batsmen, throw their timing off, and that's what's been working with all the teams. And batters are getting better and better. Everybody's performing, especially when you look at the table here. Multansultans, they have one batter after another. It's just insanity. Even their bowling side has 200 strike rate. It's no coincidence they're on top of the charts. Lahore has creeped up, number 2. I don't know if you noticed. I feel like they don't play enough. They're there.
Yeah.
7 matches, 5 wins. Zalmi, we expected them to do well, and they're number 4. So it's really between Islamabad and Quetta. And lastly, Karachikings. And I know we've been smirking about their performance, and we thought it was funny, but I think the matter is getting serious now. 8 matches out of 8. I don't know if any team has ever performed this way in any league where they haven't won a match and the tournament is almost over. My concern is only Babar Azam. I really hope that he does not lose his confidence and he puts everything behind him and gets back to doing what he does. And his form has been off. His captaincy has been in question. Yes, he's now working with the team he's used to. He has a different set of players surrounded by him, new coaches, Wasim Akram is there, visibly yelling at him. It's a lot of pressure, but I really hope that he has the strength to move forward and forget what happened in the past, because another issue we have on our hands is Australia's coming, and we did not allow our players to rest enough in between. So they're gonna have to change hats pretty fast and get back to what they do best, play T20 cricket, and it's gonna be added pressure. If we lose wickets early or we don't perform, this is our home game advantage. So if things are not working out, it's gonna turn around pretty quick. And Australia doesn't play around; they do not care what country they're in. So I'm a little concerned about Karachi in that sense.
Yeah, I think you bring up all the points that I was also thinking about this, related to Babar Azam. I'm very concerned about that very factor. This was an unintended sort of consequence. Nobody expected Babar leading a team into back-to-back defeats like this. And I'm not saying that, I don't mean that it's Babar's fault. I'm just saying that since he's a captain, he gets obviously the blame for leading a team into defeat, even though he's been the one with better performance than many of the team members. But last couple of performances from Babar have not been very good either. He hasn't been able to bat even the last two games. He didn't do well at all. Didn't even get to double digits, I don't think. So looks like that this whole thing is affecting his mood. It's affecting his attitude, and these 8 losses in a row is now affecting his performance with the bat also. So that's a problem. It's an unintended consequence of doing this, where you have your national team captain in a team and he's going to come out of it. It's looking like a 10-0, but hopefully they get at least one win, a conciliatory kind of a win, because of the thing that you said, that he's going to come out of these losses. And I don't think, you're hoping for him to kind of move past on this, and I don't think that's possible, man. 8 losses in a row, you're not going to be able to shed that off. And you were saying this before, that he's going to go back into a team where the other players perform better than him. And at that point I was saying that he's actually performing pretty well compared to some of the others. But by now, I think it's gotten worse. I think you were right that now he's going to find himself in a team. He's going to be back in his comfort zone. Actually, national team is a better place for him than this team. But over there, you're going to have Rizwan coming, probably winning PSL. Your team, multansultans, is looking like is going to win. Lahoreqalandars are the second favorites in my book anyway. So, if these two teams get to the final and win, he's nowhere to be found. And both of those teams, Qalandar and Multan, have national team players that are pretty impactful and popular and well known. So, people are already on social media talking about Rizwan should be the captain. And that doesn't help. I disagree with that, by the way. But, that talk is already out there. Somebody, people have already started talking about Rizwan should have been the captain, this and that. And I hate that about PSL. It's not PSL's fault, but PSL, the casual fan, who only watch cricket when it's something big going on, they look at these kinds of performances and they get impressed very quickly, and they have a short attention span, and they only look at like these short burst performances, and they forget that somebody like Babar, he was and is the world's best captain based on ICC rankings. He's the captain of the year. He was the ICC captain, team captain, player of the year. So all of a sudden, just based on this PSL run with Karachi Kings, people are already starting to question his leadership, question whether or not he should be at the helm for the national team. I think that's nonsense, but I don't think these losses do his confidence any good, and I think it's terrible that they're only going to have a weekend between this and the Australia series, and I think Babar's going to come in not in his best. I think far from it. He's going to be negatively affected by it.
Yeah, this temporary high of living in the moment type of fan really ruins the whole fun out of great player like Babar Azam. He's still the number 1 T20 batsman. And number 2 is Rizwan.
Yeah.
And yeah, Rizwan is a great captain in his element, but he's not done that on the international stage. And things change drastically when that happens. And people don't realize that. I think it's just a matter of Babar would have to perform just to, silence some of his critiques. I really hope he just goes in his international skin and just does what he does best. Like you said, these people live in temporary moments. So first match against Australia, let's see how he performs, and everything's gonna change, and people will forget about PSL like they did about the T20 World Cup and the entire year Babar Azam and Rizwan spent scoring runs. All right, so looking at the points table one more time, and I wanted to talk to you about the format. I really enjoy how all four teams get another chance with
Yeah.
this playoff style of format versus what we see semifinals and final where you only get one knockout stage. The number 4 team plays number 3 team, right? It's called the eliminator. And then the qualifier number 1
Hmm.
team plays the ranked number 2 team, and whoever loses that plays the winner of eliminator,
Yeah.
and they get another chance. All teams do get another chance except the first one, the qualifier one. They just wait in the final and see who comes. And Karachi, I think, a couple years ago when they won PSL, they came out of nowhere. They were in a
Hmm.
position like where Quetta is, made it to eliminator, beat them, got the qualifier done, and then made it to the final and beat the finalist as well. So this is a pretty good format. I think ICC should adapt in their bigger tournaments. It does give you a chance to prove yourself one more time, and it eliminates the factor of whatever it might be, bad pitch, bad day, injured players on the day of semifinal, or DL method. I like this. I don't know if you remember the triangular series Australia used to have, where they had 3 finals.
Yeah.
I think that really tells you who's a better team. So maybe we should either switch to playoff style, like IPL and PSL, or go with the 3 final.
Agreed. Yeah, that's the nice thing about the bilateral and the those types of series. Also, when you have a best of 5 or a best of 3, I think that really establishes clearly who the winner is. Test cricket is harder because obviously you could get draws and that kind of kills the vibe. But I agree. I think this is good. The only thing is this adds more dates. That's been my. I don't know how I feel about it. I have mixed feelings about this whole idea of actually. You know what? I don't like when teams play back to back. So, for example, Quettagladiators recently played 2 games back to back. They had a game, for example, today and then a game the next day. That kind of thing. I don't like that. So far, I don't know if every team has to do it, but I remember a few teams have had to do it, and I don't like that. I think there got to be a rest because after a match, even though it's only 20 overs, you treat it like a full match, so you give your all in the 20 overs, and then to recoup from that within the 24 hours, actually less because you have a game within 24 hours. To me, that's difficult to turn around.
Stressful on people's performance too and physique. I don't know why they're doing that. It's not like we have 4 teams, we have 6. They could have easily avoided that.
Yeah.
Multansultans did the same thing. A couple other teams played back to back. Think about the players who are going to play Australia from here. You're going to really tire them out
Well,
like
we're
that.
getting
And
injuries
then,
too. I'm wondering if that's related.
yeah. Yeah, and injuries are not to be taken lightly. They could be permanent. And we will eventually talk about it. Shahid Afridi had this back issue that we didn't know about, but it's ongoing. He's had it for 20 years. And I thought he was immortal. But things, when you hurt something, a muscle or something, and keep on playing, you're an athlete. They don't get to rest like we do. So it's going to stick around and stay with you all your life. And it's just a battle you have to face throughout your career. And they really need to start thinking about at least fast bowlers who are putting in so much in those 6 deliveries. You got to take care of that, man. You got to take care of Shaheens and Naseem Shah. We need to really look after them. And I'm getting concerned. I want Shahid Afridi to be around for a while.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up, but Pakistan is infamous on putting schedules like that back to back. It's not good for our team's performance or health.
Yeah, it looks like it was about squeezing something in. you know,
Always
as
is.
opposed to, yeah, as opposed to really just like paying attention to how players are doing and their well-being. And yeah, it's tough. PSL is a really grueling schedule. I mean, this is crazy. It's 30 days of non-stop cricket, and it would be nice to get a break in between, kind of like maybe picking 2 days where all matches stop, just 2 days off, and those 2 days give all the teams time to kind of recuperate. I think they had that built in when players moved from Karachi to Lahore. They had a few days in between during that transition, so that was kind of nice. But it's nice to have that in between matches once in a while too, to give everybody the opportunity to recuperate. But yeah, let's talk about Shahid Afridi. So, you mentioned already the back was a problem. He came on Twitter, made a video of himself, gave a statement out saying that his back is hurt. It's hurt so much. It's been hurting for a while, and it's hurt so much now that he can't really go on. He thought this was going to be a PSL that he was going to be able to go through in its entirety, but it is no longer possible. The pain is too much and too unbearable. And with that, he didn't retire, but it sounds like he's still saying that he's going to come back after some rehabilitation. He's going to go into rehab, get his back checked out, get better, and then come back for something. He was sounding like he is interested in that Kashmir League, KPL, and he wants to be an exhibition kind of a player, to like join into these like big ticket, once in a while kind of leagues. He said it's really important to him that he continues to work toward his nonprofit organization that he runs, and he wants to be able to, I guess, earn money to be able to fund that. So he has a really, noble cause behind why he's still playing. I kind of appreciate that. He's really working to make things better in Pakistan for people through his organization, and so that's quite honorable. I appreciate that. So we're probably only going to see him once in a while in these kinds of leagues where they have ex-cricketers come in and play for fun.
Yeah, I can write a whole page tribute on Shahid Afridi, but I just don't know when to talk about it because he's never finalized his retirement, and I'm waiting so I can, say some. And we both could go on forever, right? There's so many moments where
Of course.
Afridi ensured a good day, despite of how bad your day was going, because he single-handedly changed the game for Pakistan. And unfortunately, he's injured, and I didn't think he could get injured. Any tour we ever made to, there were a couple of players who couldn't make it, but Afridi was always there.
Yep.
And speaking of Quetta, man, they could have used them. If anybody could change things
Yes.
around for Quetta, is Afridi, And believe it or not, I mean, haters gonna hate, but Afridi, some say he's not the most selfless player, but when he went out there, he did it for his team, for his country, and whether single-handedly or not, we actually encase him as a batsman so often. The guy takes wickets too, and he's an
Yeah.
incredible fielder. So he does put in an all-round effort, and he could have changed the thing. So sad to see him go, but I'm pretty sure he'll be back in some capacity, maybe playing again for PSL next year. So you never know. It's just a matter of him getting some rest and getting back to it. He'll be next to his son-in-law, maybe in the same team, joking around in no time.
Yeah, good luck to him. Really, definitely want to see him again. With the bat and the ball, and being in the field also helps. He's always got this experience, and he's definitely a match winner. Always has been. He was always good to have on the field because of the energy that he brought. He was running harder than a lot of the younger players, fielding harder, showing more energy, more enthusiasm for the game. And all of those things are really important, as we know now that they've left. When things leave, that's when you kind of sometimes appreciate what you had. And I think Quettagladiators has just been on a bad run with losing really good players, and he's just one of the three at least that I can think of that Quettagladiators could have used. So either way, hopefully Afridi recovers very soon, and all the best to him.
Yeah. On a lighter note, I hope you're enjoying these bowling celebrations after they take wickets. I don't know which one is your favorite, but we can talk about our classic ones. Shoaib Akhtar, the Eagle, Waqar Younis. Wasim Akram didn't really. He just celebrated with his arms raised. Then we got, what's his name, Ahmad Wasim just unleashed a new one. in his palm. He's stirring his chai or
What kind
something and
of
drinking it.
nonsense is that? First of all, like who does that to their
You
chai?
know, somebody's gonna sit him down and ask him what does that mean, and he's not gonna have any good
He probably
explanation, or
does.
maybe he does. I hope he does. And then you got, of course, Imran Tahir. You know, his classic going around the boundary line collecting
Yeah.
praises, and I think Dhani has adapted a similar manner, and they've been clicking a lot,
Yeah.
Dhani and Imran Tahir. So he goes there, he bows down at the boundary line.
Yes.
He's such a character, man. He's a funny guy. You got Hassan Ali with his own, man. I actually like his. He says it's a bomb when he just points, punches at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ground,
yeah.
and
This is good.
explosion. And Umad Asif,
Iron
Iron
Man.
Man.
I
What do you
mean,
make out of that?
He just got. Yeah, he's Iron Man, man. He like does this whole thing with like he pushes his arm out like he's throwing like a shooting a beam from his hand.
And he lifts his shirt up and covers his head to show. He can't show the logo really, but it's similar
Yeah.
because you're gonna get. Last time he did that, I think Sana Mir was a commentator. She said that his wife absolutely hates the celebration, and but he likes it because he thinks there's a lot in common with him and Iron Man.
Oh, really? He's rich?
That's what I thought. I'm like, oh, cool. And then 5 seconds ago, I'm like, was his dad a multi-billionaire
Yeah.
weapon
What's-
developer?
What's
Did
the
he
comment?
get captured by Taliban and captivated in freaking cave, and he broke out of it, made his own suit? I'm like, what possibly in
Right.
hell could he have
Yeah.
like
I don't
common
know,
with
maybe.
Iron Man? But I couldn't think of anything. But
I appreciate that. I appreciate them trying to, entertain, and I think it shows also a level of confidence, which I think wasn't always present before PSL's arrival in Pakistan, right? People didn't.
we're very shy.
Yeah, yeah, and we also as Pakistanis tend to be more on the humble side, generally speaking. Our culture is not one of necessarily flaunting and showing off and that kind of thing, and your bowling celebration is usually some kind of a flaunting. It's a type of showing off, or putting it in other person's face and whatnot. I don't know if this is a regular celebration, but my favorite one has to be Sohail Tanveer's middle fingers.
That he unleashes that every 4 years.
Yeah. Oh my
I don't know.
God, why did
It's
you do
been
that?
fun. I mean, they definitely had upped their game in previous PSLs. You're not seeing they came up with new ones every PSL. I remember Babar Azam grew his mustache out, and he was just stroking his mustache just for that PSL. But contrary to what you said, we are also innovators of the celebrations, because if you look at the flashy ones that people admired back in the day, it started with Shoaib Akhtar, Shahid Afridi pointing his fingers out, and people kind of copied us, because you can't think of any other bowlers who had flashy celebrations
Or
Pakistan
signature
sorta
ones.
started signature ones, in Pakistan took all the best ones too. If any other bowler flashes or celebrates and reacts in like remotely similar manner, we're like, he's copying Shoaib Akhtar, he's doing Shahid Afridi. So it's good, man. Another thing we invented, right? Other than Dusra and reverse swings.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the iconic ones were Shahid Afridi and Shoaib Akhtar. I think they both really brought this attitude of like, building their own brand around
Yeah,
things, right?
coined
like
it.
Exactly. And I think one of the reasons why I loved Shoaib Akhtar so much during this one period of my life, I was obsessed with Shoaib Akhtar, is how he celebrated. And I was like, yeah, this guy is insane. He's just like so full of attitude, and he comes in and just runs through teams, and it's incredible to me that he's so confident and cocky and all of the above. And that we kind of like, people kind of like that sort of thing. You find that inspiring or inspirational, and
Yeah, it has to go with your character too, right? That the Shoaib
it has to be
Akhtar was
natural.
like a mean guy. He came off as aggressive bowler. If Sohail and Tanvir got somebody out and run around like that, that'd be whack as hell.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
has to mold in with your personality. That's why Shahid Afridi has that calm one. He just points his fingers outwards, both sides, and it suits him. So it has
Yeah.
to go with your personality too. You can't be looking like a badass and then stirring tea and drinking it. It doesn't go.
That's really weird. The I was gonna say the other you mentioned Shahid Afridi also, and then Shaheen Shah Afridi's has been pretty signature too. Even though I don't care for it much, but he kind of took Shahid Afridi's stance at the end and added a kiss to it. So
Yeah, but he sort of inherited it, right? He's married in the family now. He
right,
is an
now he could take
Afridi.
it.
Afridi said there are a few Afridi tribes. He's not part of the same tribe, but it's the same name, last name,
Yeah.
and we're really quite used to saying that, and glad we're gonna continue to say Afridi because we got another superstar in the making. So yeah, so these celebrations, man, they're all together very fun to watch, and it's always interesting to see what they're gonna come up with the next
For
match.
sure. There's a couple that also stirred up some controversy. I don't know. There's one, Usman Kader pulled out a
Yes,
parchi. Parchi was very, very famous where he pulled out this little piece of paper from his pocket.
God is the
And
best planner. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Apparently, people were, doing all kinds of, predictions about that. What does it say? Does it say God is the best planner? Then there was something about there's like a conspiracy theory around he pulled it out because there's something with him and Umar Akmal at some point where maybe somebody said, or there was an impression that Usman Kadir is like a Perchi player because his dad was in the game, so he's in because of his name, you know. So he pulled out the Perchi to kind of like
confirm
maybe
that.
confirm that and say like now what? I confirm it and I take wickets. Now what? And that kind of thing. But
Or here's a Perchi
yeah.
that was used to get me in.
There you go. Here's the Perchi that I, made sure that it was worth it. so, so it was an interesting thing. And then, yes, it was in today's game. This new young guy, he scored a 70. I should know his name right now. He pulled out a little sign of his pocket. He had this like little thing in his pocket. He pulled out and he projected to the screen, and I think it says something along the lines of like just be yourself or something like that. I could be wrong there, but he pulled
Muhammad
something out and he
Haris.
showed. Yes,
Okay.
yes, he scored a 70 and he pulled out this little thing from his pocket after his batting and he showed it. It looks like they all plan to do this, so now I'm wondering, like, does every player have something in their pocket they want to pull out, but they don't do good, so they don't get to pull it out, but everybody's ready with something. Anyway, we keep it positive here, but
We keep
to
it
go back,
positive and we keep it going, and we need this content anyway, right? So it's
yeah, it's
fun.
fun.
I mean, it can be status quo. We bring change, and these little moments like Sohail Tanvir and Ben Cutting, they're worth talking about. I mean, they add some flair, either
For
negative
sure,
or
it was fun.
positive, but it's creates drama that we need, man.
It was so fun, that whole Ben cutting and Sahil Tanvir thing. Just them giving each other the finger back and forth to see who gets it last.
The
It's
funny thing is, and I think you mentioned that, where when Ben Cutting did that to him after three, four sixes, he went up to him to talk to him that, that's not nice or whatever. And then Ben Cutting, I heard, said that you did that to me 4 years ago at CPL. And they're like, okay, I understand.
they quashed it.
They're like, okay, nice gesture. So El Tanvir took the higher road. But when then he takes his catch, he returns the favor again. It's
He's
just
like,
like, what
I still want my last word.
you call him, what do you call him, Misra? Freaking Chaparustam, man. It looks like
It's
mad
hilarious.
straightforward. And then he came on social media the next day without an apology to apologize.
Yeah, his apology basically said, "Oh, it could have been avoided.
Hone nahi chahiye
That's
tha.
all." Yeah, that's it. Nice one, nice one.
All right, Jay, I think that's all we have for today.
Yep, that's it, man. And for next time, friends, we'll see you. We'll talk about the very last stage of PSL next week. So stay tuned, come back in and listen in, and don't forget to check out our YouTube channel as well for some new, fresh content. And until next time, this is Jay and Rafan signing out. Peace.
Peace.